Alright guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do yet another out and about video for you. So today I'm still in Seoul, we're in the Seongso area, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, and we're going to check out this place behind me, which is Seoul Brewing Company. This isn't their original venue, this is their new main venue, I guess you could say. But I've heard these guys do some very, very interesting beers. I've only ever tried collaboration beers from these guys before, so it's going to be really nice to come and try some of their own stuff at source. So we'll do as we always do. We'll go in, we'll have a walk around, we'll try some of the beers, we'll try some of the food and things like that as well. I'm here quite early just at opening, so it's nice and quiet, which is good for filming, I have to say. But let's get started on this one. Definitely cool to be filming more videos for you here in Seoul, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's do it. So yeah guys, this is the exterior of Seoul Brewery in Seongso, and it's kind of off this little street here. This main street up here is a kind of shopping street. There's lots of shops and things up here, but this building is pretty cool, I have to say. Looks very, very modern. I don't think I've ever seen a brewery that looks quite like this, so I'm guessing Korean architecture. By no means am I an architect, but you can see they've got a few more seats and things like that up the stairs, so I maybe need to go and have a little look upstairs and see what's there. But yeah, I sort of camped out in the bottom floor here, which is kind of a cafe as well. And so you can see I've been sitting there filming the first beer. But yeah, the bottom floor seems to be a sort of cafe. So you come in, you can see some of the beers over here, and you can say hello. And then yeah, you've got some cakes and stuff. They've got all their coffee machines. It's actually really trendy, this one, I have to say. And yeah, I sort of camped out here and did my first beer tasting. So this is the beer that you'll see me taste in a little second, the Kraftwerk Pils. But we'll go upstairs and see what else is there a little bit later on. Alright guys, well, time for our first tasting then here at Seoul Brewing Company. So the first beer, as I often do in these videos, is going to be something nice and light and drinkable, and yeah, it's a style that I very much enjoy, and one that I have noticed is becoming more and more popular again in recent times, which I'm very happy about, of course. So yeah, beer number one is called the Kraftwerk Pils. So it comes in at 4.8% ABV, and yeah, I think this is going to be quite nice. The smell I got off it when I was carrying it back was great. So yeah, when the beer poured, it had a lovely kind of half finger of a frothy, I would say, kind of cream coloured head. You can see it has a bit of natural haze to it, this one, a lovely kind of bright golden straw colour, as you'd expect from the style. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use, that goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker coloured beer. Any barrel aging or adjuncts you do will also affect the colour of your beer as well. But for the most part, when it comes to Pilsners and the lager beer family, you don't have to care about that so much. But yeah, this one certainly looks as I would expect from a Pilsner. One or two bubbles visible in it, but not too much carbonation. But it certainly looks the part of what I would expect from the style, as I've said. So yeah, let's have a wee look at the nose of this one then and see what it's all about. Oh yeah, straight away, this is very, very nice. It's quite a yeasty Pilsner, this one, actually. So remember, the Pilsner as a style originated in the Czech Republic, or the city of Pilsen. At the time, in the mid-1800s, yeah, it was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The style was actually developed by a Bavarian brewer who moved there. He was a bit of an arsehole, so they kind of kicked him out. But that Pilsner that he created became Plzeňský Pastroj, or Pilsner Urquell as it's known. So yeah, these days, of course, Pilsen is part of the Czech Republic, so the Pilsner is, yeah, a Czech style of beer. But these days, the Czech Pilsners are a bit more kind of creamy and smooth, if you like, but with a bit more bitterness. The German Pilsners, I find, are a little bit more kind of dry and crisp in terms of their malty character, actually. But yeah, this one for me comes across, when I try these beers, I want them to be authentic and taste like they would in Czech or in Germany. This one smells as if it's going to be pretty damn good. It smells a bit more like a Czech Pilsner, a bit more of that yeasty character. coming out of it. But yeah, it gives you everything you want. You've got a nice little touch of fruitiness to it, you've got that big green component, and you've also got that nice little bit of malty sweetness in the backbone. So the backbone of this beer, you've got fresh white bready bread crust in there, fluffy white bread, a slightly sweet brown bread as well. You can smell a little bit of that drier Pils, like crisp Pils malt in there too, which is lovely, yeah. So you've got that lovely dry crisp Pilsner malt in here. You can smell that in the top of the nose, and on top of that you start to get like a little bit of biscuit, like McVitie's digestive biscuit. So yeah, it's got a wee bit of space. This one almost has a slight, I don't know if it's, pardon me, just my nose playing tricks, but it almost smells as if it has a slight smokiness to it. And I'm very sensitive to that, of course, being Scottish. I don't know if it's just my nose playing tricks. It's interesting, for sure. Yeah, so for me, yeah, the malty side of this one's really nice. The yeasty character at the back of the nose, bit of brown bread, bit of white bread. The breadiness in this one's actually kind of sweet in a way, but you get more cracker and stuff out of it into the more you smell of it. The green component of this one, very slight earthiness, a little bit of herbal character, nice bright floral aromaticity, some grassy zestiness in there as well, which is great. And then yeah, you've got that lovely sort of fruity character coming out of this one too. So yeah, the way this one goes together, I think, is really, really nice actually. It gets a big thumbs up from me in terms of its aroma. The fruity side of this one, kind of peary, a little bit of apricot, maybe a wee touch of like gooseberry or something like that. But yeah, all in all, it smells really, really nice. I'm not sure how well you can see it on the glass there, but maybe you can see, I'll cover my face so it zooms in. You can see the Seoul Brewery thing on the glass there, which is quite nice. But yeah, I think this is actually the first time I'm trying one of Seoul Brewery's own beers. I've had a few collaborations from these guys, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is the first of their own beers that I'm trying. Solo Brewery beers, I should say, as I often put it on the channel. But let's taste this one and see what it's all about. It smells great. Kraftwerk Pils, 4.8% ABV. Let's do it. Sláinte, skål, cheers. Ooh. Yeah. That's quite nice. One thing I will say about this, it's quite different to what I thought it was going to be from the aroma. I thought it was going to be a bit more kind of bready and things, but this one actually gives you quite a little bit of like hoppy bitterness on the impact. It's really really quite nice actually. So this is quite a high IBU Pilsner, this one. Maybe they're going for the proper old school Pilsner Urquell type thing with this, although it does feel a little bit more bitter than that. But I'm pretty sure check hops in this one just because of the level of spiciness that it has. But yeah, that's nice. That is very nice. Very clean and drinkable as well. Yeah, so for me, the backbone of this beer, in the middle of your palate you get that fresh white bready bread crust. A little bit further forward there's the wee touch of woodiness that you always get, some nice kind of Jacob's cream cracker in there as well, a bit of a brown bready character. Underneath then you get the white bread, and you can feel the Pilsner malty layer in this one on top of that sort of crisp dryness that the Pilsner malt's always going to give you. It's a little bit drier further back on the palate, of course. Then you've got a really nice, in the centre of your palate you've got that little circle there where you get the little bit of like McVitie's digestive biscuity type quality coming out of it. So yeah, the way that goes together is really, really nice. Yeah, so a little bit of like concentrated biscuit in there. A wee bit more crispy McVitie's digestive biscuit around that. And it's odd, I'm still getting a wee bit of like smokiness out of this one into the aftertaste. I wonder if there's a wee tiny touch of like Ralph malt in here or something. I'm getting just this little bit of beechwoody smoke out of this, which is quite interesting. But yeah, that's the middle third of the palate. The back third of the palate where you get the yeasty side of things, there's a wee bit of brown bready character in there, there's some nice white bready notes around the edge, and a little bit of McVitie's digestive biscuity, sorry, a bit of a kind of bread crusty character there. The McVitie's digestive biscuit's coming out more into the aftertaste. But yeah, brown bread, a bit of white bread, and a bit of white bready bread crust around the kind of edge of that. So yeah, the way the malty base in this Pilsner goes together is really, really nice. Back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, you get a wee touch of herbal character, and as you push further and further forward along the sides of the palate, you get floral aromaticity and a wee bit of, it's quite a spicy floral aromaticity at that as well. Then round the front curve of your tongue, it's definitely lighter and more sort of grassy as well. So yeah, the way that that goes together, I think, is really, really nice. Yeah, for me, I think the definitely more of a Czech Pilsner, this one, in a way. Well, in fairness, it has a bit more of the Czech yeastiness, but it does have the German cleanliness, so it's kind of somewhere in the middle, I would say. On the fruity side of things, I would say that it's got a little bit more of a, it's got a little bit more of a kind of, it's got like a little bit of apricot, a little bit of pear and stuff like this. Yeah, so oily pear in the middle, like dry apricot underneath, and then maybe a bit of it's like a bit of gooseberry or something. Yeah, maybe like a little touch of gooseberry or a bit of a lemon-limey character further forward. So yeah, the way that all of that goes together, I think, is really, really quite nice. It's a good Pilsner, this one. As I say, I'm still wondering about the smoky in it. The slight smoky underlining that this beer has does taste like it's got a wee bit of Rauch malt in it from Bamberg. That beechwoody smokiness. Yeah, but yeah, mouthfeel wise, kind of top end to light bodied for me. Carbonation has a good degree of crispness. It's a little bit more oily. The IBU in this one, I think, is maybe 30 IBUs, maybe slightly higher. And you've also got a nice little bit of just oily, fruity character coming out of this one as well. So yeah, the way it goes together is really quite nice, actually. An interesting beer, this one, and the smokiness, I think, is pretty unusual, but I like it. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This was the Kraftwerk Pils, 4.8% ABV, my first beer from Seoul Brewery Company. So yeah, catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers. Alright guys, well, just to give you a little look at the tap list then here at Seoul Brewery when I'm here. This is the 26th of January 2025, just for reference. But yeah, up here you can see today they've got the Kraftwerk Pils, the Salinger Rye IPA. I've not had a Rye IPA in quite some time. That could be quite interesting. The Gold Rush California Common, the Pale Blue Dot IPA, which I know is one of their kind of flagship beers, if you like. Then they have the Robust Porter as well, and you can see the different sizes down in the right hand side corner there. So let's flip it over, because they've got a few more speciality things as well. Up here you can see they've got some seasonal beers. They've got their Ruby Sour, Sauvignon. I quite like that little that little play on words there. But yeah, they've got their Sauvignon Sours, the Ruby Sour and the White Grape Sour there. Mama Loves Mango Sour, which could be quite interesting. The Matcha Cocoa Stout with Badin. Sounds like it could be quite interesting as well, though I'm not the greatest fan of green tea in beers. They've got the New England IPA, Campi Phobia, which they did with Totopia. We actually tried that one in my out and about video at Beer Pub Brick Lane, but Kiki behind the bar recommended it, so yeah, I know that's a good beer, so check it out if you get the chance. The Modulator Rustic Farmhouse Ale, that sounds quite interesting, I have to say. I'm very, very curious about that one. And then over here they've got some bottles and things that you can buy as well. So they've got the Galloping Motorcycle Brown Ale, Beton Brut, which is a Blanc, Beton Brut Peaches, and the Cherish Rustic Goza. And then down here they've got one from Oben Brewery in Denmark, of course, who we know quite well on the channel, the Stolen Fruits Cherries. So yeah, quite a nice little tap list when I'm here at Seoul Brewing Company. So yeah, quite happy with that, I have to say. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 2 then here at Seoul Brewing Company. So yeah, the next beer on the list is one that I think should be really interesting as well, because it's a style that you really don't come across all that often anymore, and this will definitely be the first Korean brewed example of this style that I've tried. It might well be the first Asian brewed example of this particular beer style as well, which is quite interesting. But yeah, for this one, we are going to try the Gold Rush California Common. So this one comes in at 5.1% ABV. It's when it poured, it had a lovely kind of sort of cream fawn coloured head to it. That's faded away to be a thinner sort of foamier layer now, because I was playing with the microphone trying to sort the settings and things. But yeah, you can see lovely rich amber colour. It's almost the colour of like a West Coast IPA or something like that. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation, but yeah, it looks very, very nice, this one, I have to say. I actually remember, I mean, obviously the famous steam beer is Anchor Steam from San Francisco. The style apparently originates in Germany, but the whole thing with steam beer is that these guys are brewed with lager yeasts, but they're fermented at ale fermentation temperatures. So a lager yeast normally ferments between like 8 to 12 degrees Celsius, but yeah, normally an ale yeast will ferment at like 15 to 16 degrees Celsius, something like that. So yeah, I don't know how that actually affects the yeast. I would have thought from my biology and chemistry studies that it wouldn't work quite as well, because usually yeasts have like an optimum temperature and things. But yeah, this one, it's kind of interesting. It seems to have developed in a style, so obviously there's something going on there that I'm not overly familiar with. But yeah, let's have a look at the nose on this one then and see what we get. Ooh. Yeah, this is quite interesting. I mean, for me, it's quite, yeah, it has quite a, sort of, there's a lot of breadiness to this, but you also have like a really nice kind of herbally sort of note to it as well. Yeah, it's got this kind of like, pepper's maybe not the right word, I think kind of herbally is quite a good way to describe what's going on here. So for me, yeah, this one, it's quite, yeah, for me, this one's really quite bready. So the backbone of this beer, you've got kind of brown bready bread crust in there, you've got a little bit of, yeah, you've got a little bit of a kind of, how would you say, a more, yeah, so you've got brown bready bread crust in there, you've got a little bit more of a kind of, yeah, brown bready type, yeah, like a brown bready base, sort of white bready character in there. There's quite a little bit of like toasty caramel and kind of leathery caramel as well. It doesn't, you know, its sweet side is actually quite dry, which is interesting. It's almost got like a very slight touch of like aniseed. The herbally character that comes off, it's a little bit like aniseed licorice kind of thing. So that's really interesting as well. Yeah. For me, the hoppy side of this one, it's a little bit earthy, it's a little bit herbal, you get some nice floral aromaticity in there, and you're also getting quite a little bit of like grassiness too. But the fruity side of this one, I wonder if it's Cascade that's in this. There's something familiar about the hops in here that are making me think Cascade. So, yeah, for me, it's got a little bit of, yeah, it's got a little tiny touch of like grapefruity character to it, but then yeah, it's like sultana, oily pear, apricot, and there's a wee tiny touch of like an orangey note to this one as well, which I think is really, really interesting. Yeah, I really like how that goes together actually. Yeah, aroma-wise, this is really, really quite interesting, I have to say that. Yeah, as I say, it's been a while. I actually couldn't tell you the last steam beer, California Common, whatever you want to call it. I couldn't tell you the last one in this style category that I tried, so this is a bit of a treat, in all honesty. Yeah, quite happy with that, I have to say. So let's have a taste of this one and see what it's all about. Yeah, the Gold Rush California Common, 5% Slangen. Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like very bready and very sort of herbal, this one. When I think about Korean food, I can see why the Koreans would like this, actually. Because there's a lot of, a lot of the sauces and the pastes and stuff like that that are used here kind of match up with this a little bit. So I can see why this would be quite a popular style over here, in honesty. When I think about it, but it does, just from my memory of the California Common, this one seems a little bit more, it seems a little bit more, it seems a little bit more herbal than I remember these styles being, actually. So yeah, this is quite interesting for sure. But yeah, backbone of the beer, brown bready bread crust, little bit of wood, little bit of cracker. On top of that, yeah, you get brown bread for sure, you get a fluffier white bread, and within the fluffier white bread, that's where you get all the kind of herbally character. I'm trying to place exactly what herb it is. I mean, that's something I'm not overly kind of familiar with. I've got a good memory for flavours, but yeah, the different herbs and things like that, something I do need to learn a bit more about. But yeah, on top of that, you have, you've definitely got a little bit of like a kind of Jacob's cream crackery sort of thing. So you've got the kind of white bready notes, the kind of toasty, the sort of toasty, there's a little bit of toasty brown sugar in there, and in the centre you've got like a kind of dry, leathery brown sugar. Usually leathery brown sugar is down to the length of your wort boil, but I don't think that's the case in this one. Yeah, it's like a kind of leathery, bready and herbally sort of thing that you're getting out of this one. So yeah, I like how that goes together, actually. I do like how that all pieces together. So back third of your palate, the yeasty side of things with this one, it's kind of brown bready with a mix of white bread on top and a wee bit of there's a wee bit of like bread crusty character around the edge. There's not too much in terms of hoppy character with this one, other than, there's a little bit of earthiness there as you come further forward. It's a wee bit like floral and aromatic and kind of grassy around the front curve of the tongue. But the fruity side of things on the front curve of your palate, or the front third of your palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where the fruity esters just kind of roll their way out of the beer. The fruity side of this one, the fruity side of this beer, I think, could be really interesting. At the back of that front third of your palate, there's a little bit of there's a bit of a stronger grapefruity note in there. Then as you move further forward from that, you have a little bit of an apricot-y peary. There's a little bit of a drier apricot-y sort of thing in there. And then as you move toward the kind of front of that front third of your palate, it's got a little bit more of a kind of lemony limey. No, it's lemony limey, right? Maybe more of a. There's definitely a wee bit of a kind of more aggressive, grassy, citrusy sort of thing in there. So yeah, a little touch of grapefruit, sultanas, oily pear, dried apricot, stuff like that. And there's just a wee bit of a more citrusy note toward the kind of front tip of the tongue in this for sure. So yeah, that's quite interesting. But I think we've said everything we need to about the flavour of this one. It's quite an interesting beer, this one. As I say, a style that I'm not madly familiar with. So to try one, and especially a Korean brewed one, I think is quite interesting. So I like that about this. Mouthfeel wise, mid-bodied. Carbonation is very, very smooth in this one. IBU wise, I think we're talking about 20-ish IBUs. The malt base is a bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle, dry and sweet on top. And then yeah, you've just got a little touch of fruity character out of this one too. So all in all, a really interesting beer, this one, and I'm glad I got to try a Korean brewed California Common. Let's leave it at that for this one. I'll catch you guys with something else in just a wee second. Cheers. Yeah guys, so over here in the corner on the first floor, you can buy some of the different cans and things like that to take away. So up here they've got the Gold Rush California Common, the Pale Blue Dot IPA, and the Salinger Rye IPA as well. Then down here, the Modulator Farmhouse Ale, the Matcha Cocoa Stout, the, you can't see that because of the light, the Jazz for Rest Fruit IPA, then the Sauvignon Ruby Sour, a mixed 6-pack of course, the Sauvignon Sour White Grape. Then down here they've got some big bottles, so Breton Brut Blanc, Breton Brut Peaches, then over here the Cherish Rustic Gose, and then here I think they've just got a few more cans and tonics and stuff like that as well. But yeah, there's a good selection of cans available here from Seoul Brewing, and you can get some bundle discounts and things as well if you buy a lot of them. So I have to say, that's pretty cool. There you are, there's your little beer selection for takeaway at Seoul Brewing. Alright guys, well, let's have a little look at beer number 3 then here at Seoul Brewery. So yeah, for this one we are going to have a look at one of their other flagship beers. So this one is called the Pale Blue Dot. It comes in at 6.3% ABV, and this one is an IPA. When it poured, it had about a half finger of a frothy, I would say kind of creamy, white coloured head. You can see this one does have a little bit of kind of natural haze to it. It's kind of a bright yellow straw type colour, I would say. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the surface of the beer there. But yeah, in honesty, I'm not sure exactly what type of IPA this one is going to be. If it's going to be more of a kind of West Coasty or more of a New England, or if it's going to be somewhere in the middle. To be honest, it looks as if it might well just be somewhere in the middle. But like I say, it's one of their flagship beers, and I thought, you know, having seen it at Source, we should have a look at this and see what it's all about, because the beers that we've tried so far have been pretty damn good, I have to say. But yeah, as I say, with this one, a bit difficult to decide what kind of IPA it's going to be based on the appearance, but I'm sure it'll be good nonetheless. Let's have a wee look at the aroma then and see what this one actually has in store for us. So yeah, for me, this one, it smells really, really quite nice actually. Very soft and very bready. I'm pretty sure there's a bit of wheat and oat in this one just from the aroma. So yeah, the backbone of the beer, there's a lovely little bit of like fresh white bready bread crust in there. Lots of fluffy white bread for sure. Yeah, fresh white bready bread crust, fluffy white bread. There's a wee touch of wood, a little bit of cracker. Yeah, it smells really, really nice actually. A little bit of wood and a little bit of cracker in here, and yeah, on top of that, you can smell the smoothness of the wheat and the oat. The slight creaminess of the oat really comes out in this one as well. So yeah, the oaty side of this one's really nice. I think this is going to be more of like an American IPA rather than, you know, New England or whatever. So yeah, the way this one, the way the aroma in this one goes together, I think is really, really nice. So yeah, lovely kind of slight oaty creaminess to this one, but you can smell a little bit of the bitiness and the wheat in there too. There's a little bit of like Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy type character. So yeah. There's a wee bit of like Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotch, and a wee bit of biscuit in there as well. The yeasty side of the beer at the back of the nose is a little bit more, it's a little bit more kind of white bready and crackery and biscuity and things like that. The green component of this one then, the hoppy side of the beer, for me, It's got a nice, there is a little touch of earthiness there, but this one is really quite floral and kind of grassy in a sense, but it's not overly spicy. It's like quite a bright floral aromaticity that comes out of this. Remember that with an IPA you have 3 types of hoppings that you can do. Early edition hopping, which takes place within the first hour of your wort boil. That's going to give you mainly bitterness and a deep dank green component. You've got late edition hopping, which takes place within the last half hour of your wort boil. That gives you a little bit of bitterness, mainly flavour aroma, and it's going to give you a very bright green component. Then you've got dry hopping, which takes place after the wort boil is complete, and that is of course all about flavour and aroma, but it gives you a very bright green component once again. So West Coast IPAs tend to use all 3 types of hopping. New England IPAs tend to rely on late edition and dry hopping, which is why they're softer and juicier, and the West Coast IPAs are a bit deeper and danker. This one, I think, is mainly late edition and dry hopping because the green component is very, very bright. There's something about the aroma of the fruity side of this beer too. Now this one's very bright and floral, it's very kind of grassy. But there's something about the soft side of the fruits in this. I wonder if there's like Idaho 7 or maybe it's Galaxy and Citra in this. It's a very tropical leaning beer, this one. So yeah, you've got lots of mango, nice apricot in there, pineapple as well. Yeah, pineapple, apricot, nice little bit of passion fruit as well. Yeah, passion fruit, mango, apricot, pineapple. There's maybe like a wee touch of lime, like Motueka or something like that in there. There's just something very familiar about the fruity component of this beer, but it is lovely. It is absolutely lovely. Yeah, so as I always say, take a little bit of time to just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But yeah, I think it's about time to try this one. So the Pale Blue Dot, the kind of flagship IPA of Seoul Brewery, trying it here at their location in Seongso. Slanju, skål, cheers, Gambe. That's it's interesting, this one. I mean, obviously, in Hong Kong, mostly I'm drinking double IPAs and triple IPAs because of the, when it comes to the prices that you pay for beer in Hong Kong, there's a sort of bang for your buck kind of argument there, because the double IPAs and triple IPAs are like $10 more, 10 Hong Kong dollars more, like £1 $1 US more than the pale ales and the IPAs. So I get the bigger ones because it just makes more sense. So it's been a while since I've had like a regular single IPA. So to me it feels like a very light and drinkable beer. But obviously you have to remember my perspective is a wee bit skewed in that regard. So yeah. But yeah, this is really nice, smooth and enjoyable actually. This beer definitely comes across as being, in its flavour profile and its overall vibe, it's definitely more New Englandy than it is West Coast at all. And even when I think about it in the context of the more middle ground American IPA, as you'll often see, this one's definitely more New Englandy, but solid IPA, this one. I do like that about it. So yeah, backbone of this beer for me, lovely fresh white ready bread crust in there. There's a little bit of wood, there's a little bit of cracker. Above that you get a little bit of a kind of wholemeal brown bread, then there's the fluffier white bread in there. You can feel the more dense wheaty character above that as well, and the wheat is a little bit bitier further back. The wheaty character's a little bit more bitey further back on the palate, and then yeah, you can feel the oatiness there. So down the middle line of your tongue, you've got a little bit more of a kind of oaty character coming out of this one. So nice and creamy and oaty, and then as you move out toward the edges of your palate there, it's got a little bit of a kind of dryness to it. Remember, in New England IPAs, oatiness can be a rough indicator of how fresh your New England IPA actually is. So yeah, this one is pretty damn fresh, obviously, because it's at source. In the dead centre of your palate, you've got that little circle where the kind of Werther's original butter candy, butterscotchy sort of notes come out of the beer. and that is of course the boozy side of it, and around that you've got a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing going on. So yeah, that's pretty cool as well, I have to say. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say about the middle third of your palate in this beer then. So if you go to the back third of your palate, you get the yeasty side of the beer. So let's have a wee look at that. Yeah. So the yeasty side of this beer for me, on the back third of your palate, yeah, it's got a little bit more of a kind of dense, it's got a wee bit of a sweet brown bready character to it. Then round the edge, you've got a little bit more of a kind of fluffier white bready character. Then yeah, fresh white bready bread crust in there. The yeasty character actually adds a wee bit of sweetness to this beer. Definitely back third of your palate, you feel the flavours taller. As you go into the middle third of your palate, it just condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, I like that. In terms of the hoppy side of the beer then, back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, it's a wee touch herbal, but then as you move further forward from that, you start to get a little bit of pine resiny dankness and some nice floral aromaticity, and it's a little touch kind of spicy as well, which is quite nice. But yeah, around the front curve of your tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy, and there's a wee touch of zestiness to it there as well. So yeah, really like that about this one. The green component is quite nice. It's got a lovely soft malty and yeasty character to it, this one, with a slight sweetness in the aftertaste, and the green component just adds that little bit of kind of spice and zestiness to it, if you like. And then the fruity side of this beer, yeah, the fruity side of this one, I think is really, really nice. Very soft and very tropical, actually. This one, I would say, I wonder Idaho 7. I really, really think Idaho 7 with this one. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of Citra in there, because it's quite a diverse tropical note you're getting out of this one. So yeah, at the back of that front third of your palate, I'm not getting the peach that I'd expect from Citra, in honesty. But yeah, at the back of that front third of your palate, really nice soft passion fruit. As you move further forward, it's a bit more juicy and mango-like. Apricot in the middle, pineapple on top, a little bit of oily pear, and as you move into the front half of that front third of your palate, it's showing you a little touch of a lemony, limey character, which Citra can do in these in these sort of more New England type IPAs. This is definitely more a New England IPA rather than anything else. But yeah, mouthfeel-wise for me, this one is I would say mid-bodied, very smooth carbonation. Still feels quite nice and clean, right enough. The IBU on this one, I think, has got to be about 30. It doesn't feel overly bitter at all. It's really nice and quite smooth, but quite bright. Then the malty character with this one, a little bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle, and then a wee bit of kind of sweeter character on top. And then yeah, you've got that lovely tropical, fruity, and slightly citrusy note coming out of this one. So yeah, the way that this goes together is really nice. Solid New England IPA, this one. So yeah, this was the Pale Blue Dot, I think 6.3% ABV, the flagship IPA, I guess, of Seoul Brewing Company. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. I think we're going to do 2 more here, and that'll be enough. But I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers. Alright guys, well, I came up to the 6th floor at the recommendation of Kiki, and I have to say, this is pretty cool actually. Obviously, they set this thing up for events and things like that, but this is a really cool space. Seongso is an island, basically, over in the kind of eastern part of central Seoul, but yeah, having a little event up here and enjoying a few beers would be really, really nice, I'm sure. But yeah, for me, kind of places like this are just really unusual and really quite nice. But yeah, this is the 6th floor rooftop at Seoul Brewing Company. Very, very cool, I have to say. So there you are, something a wee bit different. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 4 then here at Seoul Brewing. So yeah, I decided to come up and film one of these on the rooftop, because how often do we get to do rooftop reviews in the out and about videos on the channel? So yeah, as you would have seen from the little segment before we started, this rooftop is pretty damn cool. So beer number 4 is a style that I do quite enjoy, one that has been growing in popularity again in recent times, and one that I know my good friend Alan from the Bishop's Arms in Malmö absolutely loves. So yeah, I think my first Korean brewed example of this style as well. This one is called Modulator. It comes in at 5.7% ABV, if I'm remembering correctly. They're calling this one a rustic farmhouse ale, and it's brewed in collaboration with a Korean beer YouTuber, Instagrammer called Seoul House, alcohol house, drinking house, I guess it translates to in English. So this is his collaboration beer that he did with Seoul Brewing, and yeah, I've not had a Korean brewed saison before, or farmhouse ale, whatever you want to call it, so I thought this would be a really interesting one to try. So yeah, anyway, as you can see, they've given me it in this little sort of tulip glass this time, which I do quite like. I love my tulip glasses, as you'll know if you've watched the channel for any length of time. You can see that this one had a lovely half finger of a frothy, I would have said perfect white head, and you can see it has this lovely kind of deep yellow colour, which, pardon me, is really, really nice. So 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass with this one, but otherwise it's pretty nice. This, you can see it has got that little bit of natural haze, which you would expect because the saison is a more yeast focused style, of course. But yeah, nothing unusual about the appearance of this beer when you consider what style it is. So yeah, I don't think we need to say too much more about that. Let's have a look at the aroma and see what this one has in store for us. Yeah, it smells lovely actually. It's actually very kind of fruity in a sense. It's almost got an IPA level of fruitiness to it, but you know, to the point where it's making me wonder, is there Idaho 7 and things in here? But yeah, you do get that typical banana bready, yeasty sort of thing that you'd expect of a saison for sure. So for me, the backbone of this beer, you have a lovely fresh white bready bread crust in there. Yeah, fresh white bready bread crust in there. A little bit of wood, a little bit of cracker. You have this little bit of like banana bread character coming out of it. So you've got the kind of clovey spice in there as well, and a bit of that kind of bubblegummy sugary note. These are all things to expect of the saison as a style again. But yeah, fluffy white bread in there. There's a wee touch of biscuit, like Werther's original butter candy butterscotch for sure. Yeah. The way this goes together, I think, is really, really nice actually. Just a little bit of sweetness, I say. Werther's original butter candy butterscotch, a little bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit for sure. Yeah, it's lovely. I don't know if there's too much else to say about the malty side of things. The yeasty side we've kind of covered as well. That sort of bubblegum sugar, banana bread, clovey kind of note to it. It's really nice. There's nothing unusual about the aroma of this beer. I think it's fair to say that, but it comes across as being very, very nice, I have to say. The hoppy side of things, there's not too much of a green component to this. A little bit of earthy and herbal character, a bit of bright floral aromaticity, a wee bit of zesty grassiness in there as well. And you've also got that really nice fruity character coming out. It's like I say, it smells as if it's American hops in this, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was New Zealand, like Riwaka or Rakau, or one of the more tropical leaning ones from down there. That also wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, so for me, there's passion fruit, There's mango, pear, sultana, apricot, pineapple, all of these sorts of things in here. It's like a kind of tropical fruit salad almost. And of course you've got the kind of banana-y characters backing that up as well. So yeah, in all, the aroma of this is absolutely lovely, I have to say that. Yeah, I think we can leave it at that for the aroma side of this one, and I think we should just have a taste of it and see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is the Modulator, 5.7% if I remember correctly. A farmhouse ale as they're calling it, basically a saison, a collaboration between Seoul Brewery and Seoulhouse, who is quite a well-known Korean beer Instagrammer, or beer tuber, I guess we could call it as well. So let's get stuck into this one. Slàinte, skål, cheers, ganbé. Ooh, right. Very smooth saison. First taste, it gives a good little bit of it does give a good little bit of kind of breadiness and things. There's a wee bit of an almost black peppery sort of note out of this one actually. Yeah, on the second sip it sort of mellows out a little bit more. So yeah, no, definitely, yeah, on the second sip it kind of mellows out a wee bit more, and you start to get the sweetness of the bread and things. So the backbone of this beer, fresh white bready bread crust in there, of course, a wee bit of wood, and you've got the crackery layer, which is quite prominent in this one, I would say. Then you get a bit of a more wholemealy brown bread, then you get the slightly denser and fluffier white bread above that, and within the white bread I think you're getting more of this kind of clovey spice, but it's actually quite spicy, this one. It's almost on the verge of being like kind of black peppery, which I find quite interesting. So yeah, you've got that little bit of black peppery sort of thing going on with this one, and yeah, so the little bit of black peppery character coming out of this one's quite interesting. You've got the white bread in there, which has a bit of a banana bready type quality to it. Then you've got a bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit above that. You've got some Werther's original butter candy, butterscotch and oat shit. You've got that little circle in the centre of your palate, of course, where the kind of sweeter side of the beer comes out. That's the booze, of course, and that's nice too. So yeah, a bit of Werther's original butter candy, butterscotch, and a wee bit of biscuit for sure. And yeah, really, yeah, as I say, I do quite like that about this one. I don't know if there's anything else to say about the middle third of your palate on this beer. The only other thing I would say is that kind of bubblegummy sort of flavour that you get out of this one does come out a wee bit more into the aftertaste as well. But yeah, I like that. So the yeasty side of this beer then, at the back third of your palate, for me, at its core, it's a bit more brown bready, then it's a wee bit more like a grey, it's like a dense brown bread, then a more grainy brown bread around its edge, and a bit of like a toasty, bread crusty character around the edge of it. Then that yeasty note lingers into the aftertaste, as you'd expect from a saison. On the hoppy side of things, you've got a wee bit of like brown bread, a wee bit of earthy character in the back corners of your palate. As you move further forward, it's a little bit more herbal, a little bit more woody, and as you reach the kind of front corners of your palate, it's a little bit more sort of floral and aromatic feel. It's a little bit spicy almost as well. But round the front curve of your tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy, a wee touch zesty as well. And yeah, I think that covers the green component of this one quite nicely, to be honest with you. My fingers are actually getting quite cold, kind of clutching this glass. It's a bit chilly here in Seoul, but it's still nicer than back home in Scotland, or probably over in Sweden as well. So yeah, nice mild winters here in the Far East, we have to say that. But yeah, fruity side of the beer then, that front third of your tongue where you get that nice oily bubble with the fruity esters rolling their way out of the beer. Let's have a wee look at that. So yeah, for me, the fruity side of this beer, at the back of that front third of your palate, you've got that nice kind of stronger, there's a bit of a stronger grapefruity note out of this one. I wouldn't be surprised if there's Cascade in this, in all honesty. Chinook, that wouldn't surprise me either. Or no, Columbus maybe a bit too much. But yeah, there's a wee bit of grapefruit there at the back of that front third of your palate. As you move further forward from that, you start to get there's like a bit of sultana in there, you know, dry white green grapes. There's a bit of apricot, there's a bit of pear, maybe a little bit of a very slight mango or something like that. But then yeah, as you move further forward towards the front half of that front third of your tongue, you get a wee bit of a lemony limey character out of this one. Maybe a little bit of Motueka and a little bit of New Zealand Cascade, something like that. Wouldn't be surprised about that. But yeah, the fruity side of this one is quite nice. It's actually got a little bit more of a hoppy. The more that I ponder over the aftertaste, the more I think it's a little bit more of a hoppy, bitter kind of farmhouse ale as well, actually. But probably you could age this a wee bit. But then again, it is only, I think, 5.7% if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's a nice saison anyway. I have enjoyed this one. Mouthfeel wise, mid-bodied, smooth carbonation. As I say, it does give you a wee bit of spice or a wee bit of bitterness. It's a bit hard to distinguish between the two in honesty, but if we combine it, I'd say it's maybe about 30-ish IBUs, something like that. The malt base is a bit dry underneath, smooth in the middle, slightly sweet on top. You've got that little touch of fruitiness in there, and yeah, the way that all of this goes together, I think, is really quite nice. So an interesting beer, this one, my first Korean brewed saison, and I'm pretty happy with it. And of course, very cool to film a tasting for you here on the rooftop at Seoul Brewing. So let's leave it at that for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think I'll do another one or two here because I'm enjoying my time. This is a really cool venue actually, and yeah, maybe, I don't know if we'll film another one on the rooftop. I think we'll film one down in the beer cafe on the second floor. But yeah, enjoying my time here, let's just say that. Cheers just now. Alright guys, so yeah, if you come up to the 5th floor of Seoul Brewing, there's some really interesting stuff here as well. So if you look at this wall just over here, you can see all the different album covers and things like this, because they do love their music here from what I've seen. But yeah, they've got these big curtains, and I've opened up this one very, very slightly, and if you just peek through, you can see they have this lovely space where they obviously have live performances and things like that. You can see the drum kit, the amplifiers, and the piano over there. And then at this side, they have the bar that they obviously work from to serve people that are listening to the music. So yeah, really lovely little space actually, and I think it's quite cool how Seoul Brewing support local musicians and things like that. So hopefully sometime when I make it back to Seoul, they've got some kind of performance that I can come along and have a little look at. So yeah, this is awesome. I don't think I've ever had a brewery with a music space quite like this, so big ups to Seoul Brewing Company. There you go, that's floor number 5 here. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 5 then here at Seoul Brewing in Seongso. So yeah, I decided to come down to the 2nd floor for this one because I really quite like the vibe actually, and I just think aesthetically it's a really nice modern Korean space. So yeah, for this one I thought we would try one of their seasonal beers. I'm not sure exactly what part of the sour beer family this one would fit into, but it seems to be like a kind of fruited sour wheat beer from what I've read on the Untappd page. So this one that I have here, this is called Sauvignon 2. I love the play on words, by the way, and they're calling this one a ruby sour. So it comes in at 5.2% ABV. It has Korean blackberries in it, pomegranate. They said Ceylon cinnamon in this one, and it also had something else in it which has gone out of my head, and to be honest I didn't know what that thing was in the first place as well. But the Korean blackberries did have a specific name, and again, since I've started filming, that has gone out of my head. So I'm sorry, but yeah, I can't tell you the exact variety of blackberry here. But yeah, a blackberry, pomegranate, and cinnamon sour. This one, it does have. It's got a wheat beer base, and it's also got some Spelt in there, which is a very old variety of German wheat. But yeah, looks like it could be quite an interesting beer. It pours this lovely kind of peachy pink kind of colour. Obviously, when you're talking about fruited sour beers and things, most of the colour is going to come from the fruit adjunct that's put in there. So the appearance of this one is not overly surprising. It had very little head on it when it was poured, actually, which is an interesting thing, especially at 5.2% ABV and when it's got wheat in it, because usually they retain their head quite well at that percentage and things. But yeah, fairly hazy as you'd expect from a wheat beer. I don't know if we really need to say much else about the appearance of this one, so let's have a wee look at the nose and see what we get out of this. Now, I'm going to say straight away, the nose of this beer is very, very mild. You do definitely get a little bit of that blackberry juiciness out of it. Maybe a little bit of the pomegranate as well. But underneath that, yeah, you get a little bit of the kind of white bready, wheaty character. It has a wee touch of the kind of German Hefeweizen-y type quality to it, you know, a little bit of the banana bready kind of things. Yeah, there's a wee bit of the banana bready sort of note and the kind of spicy kind of character to it as well. But yeah, it really is very mild in terms of its aroma, this one. The hoppy side of things, it's very slightly earthy, a little bit woody of course as well, herbal, a bit grassy. Floral is a bit of a push for this one, I would say. Remember, when it comes to Hefeweizens and wheat beers, they tend to be a very low IBU. It's like 15 or something like this. And that's definitely the kind of vibe I'm getting from this beer. So, yeah, whatever's going on with this one, I think, is quite interesting. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, in honesty, I don't get. The more you smell of it, the more you get the sweetness and the juiciness of the blackberries. Was it Boxap Joe or something like that? Was the name of the blackberry variety? I couldn't tell you. And again, apologies if I'm butchering that for any Koreans watching. But yeah, it's just, yeah, this beer is a bit of white bread. Oh, dipped my nose in it there. A bit of white bread, a bit of grassiness, and a mix of the pomegranate and the black currants. There really isn't too much going on with the aroma of this one. So I think we should just taste this and enjoy it from that perspective. Quite often these beers have a little bit more complexity in their flavour than they do in the aroma. So yeah, let's taste this one. So yeah, this is the Sauvignon version 2, Ruby Sour, 5.2% ABV, Gambit. Yeah, it's really nice and quite enjoyable. For me, it actually comes across as a kind of summer beer in some ways, because I would expect this one to be more of a kind of summer beer than anything else, in all honesty. But it's really enjoyable. You do get that kind of fruited wheat kind of quality out of it. It actually reminds me, I forget the name of the brewery on Öland in Sweden that had the barbecue place. They had like a strawberry wheat beer that was very, very similar to this in terms of the kind of flavour profile and things. So this is a really nice, enjoyable beer, this one. But very straightforward in terms of its flavour profile. The backbone of this beer, fresh white ready bread crust, of course, Above that, you get a wee bit of cracker, but yeah, fluffy white bread in there. There's a wee bit of that, because it's a wheat-based beer, it has a little bit of that kind of banana bready type character to it. In the middle of your palate, there's a tiny touch of biscuit and a tiny touch of like caramel or something there in the dead centre of your palate. But yeah, mostly the backbone of this beer is very smooth, wheaty, bready sort of thing. Yeah. I'm wondering if I looked up the right beer on Untappd with this. I was pretty sure the ABVs and everything matched. Because if there's cinnamon in this, it's very subtle. It's only into the aftertaste, especially on that back third of the palate. It's only really there that the cinnamon is kind of coming out of this one. So yeah, this is really quite interesting from that perspective. A little bit of cinnamon at the back of your palate, of course, and that lingers into the aftertaste. But yeah, mainly white bready and a touch of biscuit and a wee tiny bit of like Werther's Original in the middle of the palate as well. Yeah, really nice beer. Really nice, just enjoyable beer, this one. On the back third of your palate, there's a lovely sort of yeasty kind of vibe to this one, which is yeasty kind of flavour. So at its core, it's a little bit brown bready, then further out it's a bit more like a dense, wheaty white bread, then round the edge it's a bit more kind of bread crusty, I would say. I think that covers the malty and yeasty side of this one actually. It's a very mild-mannered beer, this one, in a lot of ways. And that makes it quite attractive. I mean, for me, this is a good like summer beer that you drink in the heat, which is interesting. I wonder if that's when it was released actually. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things, I wonder if the reason they've called it Sauvignon is because they're using Nelson Sauvin in here. But yeah, either that or it could be to do with the Sauvignon Blanc yeast and stuff like that, which could be another thing. But yeah, hoppy side of things, very slightly earthy in the back corners of your palate, a bit more herbal and woody as you come further forward. There's a little bit of floral note there, then round the front curve of your tongue, it's definitely a little bit lighter and more grassy, I would say. So yeah, quite interesting from that perspective. On the fruity side of things, obviously when you add fruit into beer as an adjunct, it's going to suppress a little bit of your green component a wee bit. But for me, the fruity side of things in this beer is really nice. The black currant's kind of spread around the sides of your palate there, but on that front third of your tongue, you get a little bit of black curranty sort of. There's a little bit of a kind of black curranty sort of layer coming out of this. So yeah, a wee bit of a kind of black curranty, or a little bit of a more kind of candied strawberry layer than the black currant that's on top. You can feel a wee bit of the juicy pomegranate coming out of this one, particularly toward the kind of front tip of your tongue as well. But yeah, it's a very straightforward beer, this one, but it is really quite enjoyable. And that's the kind of impression that I've had of the Seoul Brewing Company beers. They're meant to be nice and drinkable and just enjoyable. A lot of them are quite low in their ABV as well. I don't notice anything that's very high ABV on the menu either. But obviously our last tasting, which will come next, that will be something at the darker end of the spectrum, so I'm really curious to see that actually. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel of this one, bottom end of mid-bodied, smooth carbonation, very clean mouthfeel overall. Your IBU is probably about 10 or 15 in this, something like that. The malt base is a wee bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle, slightly sweet on top, and then yeah, you've got the juicy, fruity characters coming out of this one as well. But yeah, a really nice, enjoyable beer, this one, and cool to try something from their more kind of sour range. I don't find this one overly sour, it's just more like a fruity wheat beer rather than anything else. So yeah, this was the Sauvignon 2 Ruby Sour. Quite an enjoyable beer, this one. More of a summer beer, I think, than a winter beer, I would say, though. So let's leave it at that, and I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers. So yeah, guys, if you come up to floor number 2, you have the other beer pub section. So when you come out the lift, you're greeted with the merchandise, which I have to say is pretty cool. So you can get your black t-shirts, your grey hoodie, your white t-shirt here as well. You can also get your Seoul Brewing growler as well, and your different glasses, all of which are quite nice, and a cap if that's your thing. And they've got some of their awards here too, but if you come up and look at this space, this is really nice as well actually. A lovely bar, very modern Korean style of course, but it's a beautiful space this, really nice. I love the mixture of the wood and the concrete and things, it's absolutely lovely. And of course you've got a bunch of your Seoul Brewing cans and things here, but yeah, I have to compliment Seoul Brewery on their design. This is awesome. I might need to come and film a review or two up here. Okay guys, well, time for our 6th and final tasting then here at Seoul Brewery. So for this last review, we are going to move to the dark end of the spectrum, and we're going to try a style of beer that I don't get to review all that often actually, but from what Kiki told me, this is Seoul Brewery's #1 best seller. So it seems like a really nice way to kind of round off the review. So this particular beer is simply called Robust Porter. It comes in at 6.6% ABV, and I think from the name of this one, you know what style of beer this is. So when it poured, it came out with a half finger of a frothy, I would say kind of fawn, light tan coloured head. You can see it's got a lovely sort of dark ebony rosewood colour to it, which is something you'd expect from the style. There's not too much in the way of visible carbonation when it comes to this beer, but yeah, it certainly looks the part when you consider what a porter really should look like. So yeah, I don't think there's really much else to say about the appearance of this one. Lovely dark ebony rosewood colour as you can see. So let's have a wee look at the nose of this and see what it's all about. Oh yeah, so straight away, for a 6.6%er, it actually does have quite a little bit of complexity to it. The backbone of the beer is I would say like a kind of toasty, slightly well-fired, like rye bready bread crust. Yeah, you've got these lovely dark toasty malts, brown sugar, bread, little touch of fruit to it, everything that you would expect of a really nice porter beer. The porters, of course, tended to, I think they originated in London if I'm not mistaken, but an English style of beer that can be really nice if it's well done. And I think this one, just going by the aroma and the level of complexity that it has, I think this one will be. And if they're saying that it's their #1 bestseller, there's obviously some kind of reasoning behind that. So yeah, the backbone of the beer, as I said, it's got a lovely roasty, toasty, well-fired bread crust in there. We've got some really nice like rye bready character as well. It's like quite an oily rye bread in all honesty too. Some wholemeal brown bread also. So yeah, nice wholemeal brown bready character in there for sure. On top of that, you start to get a little bit of a chocolatey note out of this one, maybe a 40, nah, maybe 40 is a bit too light, maybe a 50-60% cocoa chocolate, leaning toward that higher percentage cocoa chocolate, but not being too dark at the same time. So yeah, 50-60% cocoa chocolate for me. That lovely chocolatey notes coming out of this. But a little bit drier as well. It's not quite cocoa nib level dry, but it's like a very smooth, sweet kind of dryness that you get out of this one. On top of that, you have a little bit of like roasty, toasty, brown sugary character. A wee bit of leathery brown sugar as well. There's elements of nuttiness come out of this beer at the same time. But yeah, it's got a good mix between the kind of rye bready notes. I'd maybe even say this one has a little bit of a kind of English Christmas pudding type quality to it. It's got a little bit of that almost phenol, I should say, that kind of phenolic type note. Yeah, at the back of the nose, the yeasty side of this one is a little bit more Christmas puddingy, like I said. There's a wee bit of a kind of rye bready character in there, quite an oily rye bready note to it all in all. And yeah, I think that goes together really quite nicely in this one, in all honesty. Yeah. Would I say anything more about the yeasty side of this one? Maybe a bit of a more roasty, toasty, well-fired bread crust coming out of this beer the more that you smell of it. But in all, yeah, I think what we've described in the malty character, this one, that's the most complex part of the beer for sure. But yeah, in the hoppy side of things, I would say there's a wee bit of earthiness in there. There's a little bit of a herbally sort of character to it. Little touch of floral aromaticity, wee bit of grassiness, but not overly much. Yeah, I think it smells like it's maybe more English hop than American hop. But yeah, the hoppy component in this one I think is very, very nice. Nothing untoward with that. Again, it's what you'd expect from the style. In terms of the fruity side of things, for me, there's a little bit of a, would I say plum? There's a little bit of an oily, plummy character to this one. There's figs in there. There's black currants, but again, this beer is quite mild in terms of its aroma. I wonder if it's just because of how chilled it is. Maybe this beer could do with being a little bit warmer, in all honesty. But again, it's only 6.6% ABV, which, when I think about it, for a kind of cask porter in England, that's quite high, actually. So maybe this is more of an American porter than it is an English porter. But yeah, its aroma, in all honesty, is quite mild-mannered. There's just a little bit of plum, a little bit of fig, and maybe a little bit of like blackberry coming out of it. But it smells like a really nice beer. The malty side of this one, I think, is very nice. So let's have a taste of it and see how we go. It's the Robust Porter, 6.6% ABV, apparently the #1 bestseller at Seoul Brewing Company. Gambe. I will say straight away, I don't drink porters all that often, but that is pretty damn good. I need to get a can of this and do a sit-down review of it at some stage. I haven't seen too much of the Seoul Brewing stuff making it to Hong Kong. That's maybe something that we need to try and sort out. But yeah, that's a really lovely, very smooth porter, this one. Very good place to finish the video, which was my intention with this. I think this was the only dark beer they had on tap on the menu. I think it might have been. They had a few in bottle, of course, as well, but that's a very, very good porter. So yeah, I'm going to say that straight away. Lovely, lovely porter beer, this one. It's kind of got the smoothness that you would expect of the English porters, but it has a bit more of the kind of bold flavour that you'd expect of the American variant of this style. So yeah, backbone of your beer, you've got a kind of toasty, well-fired, bread crusty note out of this one. It's like rye bread in the base. On top of that, a wee bit of a wholemeal brown bready character. Within those two layers, you've got a bit of a nuttiness coming out of it. You've got a toasty, it feels like it's got a bit of a toasty, coconutty type character to it coming out in the aftertaste as well, which I quite like. Yeah, so you've got the rye bread, the wholemeal brown bread, and within those a little bit of a coconutty layer, maybe a little bit like hazelnut or something like that as well, in fairness. Then above that you get the kind of chocolatey layer out of this one. In the flavour it's a little bit darker, maybe a 70% cocoa chocolate, 60-70% cocoa chocolate. Above that you've got toasty brown sugar, a kind of leathery brown sugar as well, and in the centre of your palate a wee bit of like a treacle molasses sort of thing. But I think it's the chocolate and the kind of bready notes that linger into the aftertaste with this beer. Like I say, a really nice porter. It's kind of got the mouthfeel you'd expect of an English porter, but the volume of flavour that you'd expect from the American, slightly stronger variant of the style. So yeah, this is very, very good actually. Could it potentially be my favourite beer I've tried from the brewery today? Yeah, very well could be. The Pils was very good, and The IPA was very good, but yeah, this is a solid beer actually. In terms of the yeasty side of things, then on the back third of your palate, at its core, it's got a little bit of a rye bread sort of density to it. You've got some nice wholemeal brown bready character in there as well, a bit of toasty bread crust, and definitely the flavour on the back third of your palate is taller. And as you go into the middle third of your palate, it condenses down a wee bit. But yeah, the malty yeasty side of this beer is really nice. On the hoppy side of things, back corners of the palate, it's a wee bit earthy, and that does give the beer a good little bit of bitterness, but as you move further forward, it's a little touch herbal, but as you come to the front corners of your tongue, a little bit more floral, a little bit lighter and grassy around the front curve of the tongue, but generally speaking, the green component on this one is a little bit more sort of oily, I would say. In terms of the fruity side of the beer then, to round off the tasting section, for me, fruity side of the beer, it's quite plummy, actually. Yeah, it's a little bit plummy. There's some nice juicy fig in there, and there's some nice kind of blackcurranty notes to it. The fruit on this one is very it's very smooth and really quite dry, I think is kind of what I'm trying to say. You do get a little bit of an almost kind of like latte type flavour out of this one into the aftertaste. I'm very reluctant to talk about coffee flavours in these beers unless there's actually coffee added into them, but this beer does have a little bit of that kind of latte, milky coffee type vibe to it into the aftertaste. But it's a very good porter, and if you get the chance to try this and you enjoy your porters and your Schwarzbiers and this, your Irish stouts as well, if you enjoy that end of the beer spectrum, you're certainly not going to be disappointed with this. Very nice place to round off the video, that's for sure. So yeah, mouthfeel wise, for me, the beer's top end to mid body for a 6.6%er. It's really quite silky and smooth and quite thick actually, which I really do appreciate. So top end to mid bodied, very smooth carbonation, quite silky. In terms of its IBUs, I think maybe 50 or 60 IBU in this. The malt base is toasty underneath, smooth in the middle, and kind of a more dry, it's got a sort of more dry, sweeter character on top, and then yeah, you've got that nice slightly oily fruity character coming out of it. But that's a lovely porter. As I say, I don't get to try this style all that often, but you know, I think this is just really damn good actually. I can see why this is a very well respected and high selling beer here at Seoul Brewing. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. Very nice place to round off the video. So I'm going to go inside and get out of the cold and enjoy the rest of this, and I'll give you my final thoughts on my time here at Seoul Brewing in just a little second. So yeah, this is definitely worth trying if you come across it. The Robust Porter, 6.6% ABV, our last beer here at Seoul Brewery. Catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, well that is the end of my time then here at Seoul Brewing's location in Seongso in Seoul in Korea. So yeah, I had a really nice time here. I spent about 4 hours actually just trying lots of different beers and enjoying the venue, and it passed very quickly, I have to say. Special shout out to Kiki, who was manning the cafe floor of the brewery. She was really nice, explained all the different beers to me and told me about the different floors and stuff, and said yeah, go and have a little look at the place and enjoy it. So apparently the brewery is on the basement level and also up on the 4th floor, so they've got big pipes going up the side of the brewery on each floor, which you might have seen in some of the segments that I filmed. So it's a really very cool venue, as I'm sure you've gathered from this video. But yeah, we got to try 6 of their beers. Most of the beer here at Seoul Brewing seems to be kind of session strength, you know, sort of between 5 and 6% ABV, but they were all really good. We tried the Pilsner first off, the California Common, the IPA, the Saison, then we had the blackcurrant sour, and then we finished off with the porter, and all very good quality beers, I have to say. So there's a good range of stuff here. But yeah, it's definitely worth coming and checking out this place just to enjoy the venue as well. In total, I think I spent around 300 Hong Kong dollars, so that's about £30 sterling, 35 euros, maybe $40 American, something like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time here. The 4 hours passed very, very quickly. So yeah, big ups to Seoul Brewery for this one. I really enjoyed filming this video. I can feel the beer going to my head a little bit on this one, because I didn't actually eat any of the food that they had. But yeah, I'm going to go away and eat something and pardon me, explore Seongso a little bit more. So I'll catch you guys in another one, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. Really cool to film some out and about videos here again in Seoul. But yeah, check out Seoul Brewery if you find yourself here. Check out my social media, check out theirs, and I'll catch you guys in another review very, very soon. Slanja just now, Gambe.